Hey guys, so it's been quite some time since you all have seen me and been waiting on this video. So first and foremost, I owe you all an apology. Some of you have been waiting almost a year for me to put out something else, and you probably moved on and found your answers elsewhere. But there are some of you who have just stumbled upon this video, so I wanted to really commit and continue this series. I've kind of been gone because I had to face the stages of perfectionism and wanting everything to be perfect for YouTube, and then not liking the space that I was in and kind of restructuring my mindset to make this space work for me, as well as just kind of doing a overhaul of my previous mindset and kind of becoming the artist and the person that I wanted to be. So I'm here now, and hopefully this is still beneficial to somebody. So let's just jump in and get started. Today's topic is going to be powders that are essential for your starter makeup kit. Of course, I did foundations first, so it's only right that I go right into powders. And there are three key factors when selecting your powder. The first is that it must be finely milled, and I'll show you a little bit more what I mean about that when I show you the first powder. The second is that it should have the same performance wet or dry. A lot of times you see us try to go in with a damp sponge, and when you use a damp sponge, it should give you a more natural, less powdery appearance, but sometimes with a powder that's not made to use wet, it can give you the reverse effect and kind of make you look powdery and splotchy. And lastly, you want a powder, of course, everybody knows, no flashback. The first powder, with that being said, that I'll jump into is my absolute favorite, the Danessa Myricks Evolution Powder. So of course I will put all the details right here so you guys can know a little bit more about it that I don't cover in the video. And as I was saying, the first thing is that it must be finely milled. So I'll try and zoom in really quickly, show you what I mean by finely milled. So it's like dust. And when you take the lid off or tap your brush in it, it kind of just like floats. You see that? It floats in the air. Also, this is number one for putting in your kit, is a no color powder. So this can be used on a wide range of people, and I personally have used it from the most fair person or most fair complexion to the darkest complexion. So I absolutely swear by this, and this is a powder that can be used wet or dry, or on a damp sponge, or on a dry brush, I should say. This one is her Evolution Powder in 01. I also recommend picking up her colored powders as well. Those are the same texture, very finely milled, but they will give you just the slightest bit of added coverage, or just a nice little extra oomph to the skin that you won't get from a no color or translucent powder. Also, they have those in minis, so I recommend picking them up from Camera Ready Cosmetics if you aren't sure you want to commit to a big one. I also think minis are just a fantastic size to put in your kit because it's able to condense very well. That powder is great for drier skin types, normal skin types, and oily for a short period of time. So if you're just doing photography and your skin is oily, that's going to be fantastic. However, if you're using it on an oily bride, I would use that to top off something else or to mix with something else. I wouldn't use it just by itself because those oils will break through after a while. Secondly, speaking of oily skin, I would say is the Laura Mercier powder. So this one isn't a no color powder, it's your traditional translucent. And the reason why I like it is because it's easy to press underneath foundation, like right after that primer, to kind of combat that oil. And you can use it again to set on top, or you can use a completely different powder to set on top. They also have that one in the deeper color now as well, so you can bounce between the original and the deep shade for your clientele. So it makes it great, and it's easily accessible. I think it's important to include in these videos something that you can run and pick up at Sephora, because honestly, I know here in Tampa we don't have a pro store. So there may be some times that I get an impromptu client, or I work on a project that I wasn't expecting, and I just want to just grab a little something extra to throw in my kit. And that's one of those things where you're like, I don't have it, I need to stop by the mall. You can definitely pick that one up. And then also, I don't have it here, but along with the no color powders, There is RCMA, which is a fantastic powder. So in comparison to the Denessa this one is more of a matte finish. So it'll control oils a lot better than Denessa's does. However, both fantastic powders. There's also Ket, which is also an oily skin favorite but can still be used on all skin types. They also launched that one in a pressed powder, which is fantastic for touch-ups because it won't disturb what you have. It won't alter any colors. So I recommend picking that up. And then lastly, Viseart also has a no color powder. That one I have not tried. But what I've learned is once you start to hit those pro level products, most of them perform just, you know, at a high quality range. So it really just depends on your preference. So I don't have it with me, but another highly recommended product for your kit is the Dermablend powder. So if you get that one in the translucent shade, it's also a oily girl favorite. That one I prefer to put underneath foundation and then go over foundation with something like Denessa just because it is a great powder, but that's just my personal preference. So I recommend picking that one up if you like to alternate between your powder finishes. And for my honorable mentions, I'll kind of cover mainly powder foundations and actual colored powders. And the reason why they're honorable mentions is because, again, this is a starter kit. The powder foundations aren't something that should always be used to set makeup. One, because they don't set makeup. They're an added layer of coverage. They're another form of foundation. Also, colored powders is just, those are fantastic, but they're something I believe you should add on when you start to get that revenue coming in, and it won't kind of hurt your pockets so much. So for my first honorable mention is the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish. Now I will tell you, when I first bought this product in high school, well before I even thought about being a makeup artist, the lady used it on me for prom and I thought it was amazing. So I bought it. Then I got home and I was applying entirely too much of it. I looked cakey. I was greasy because I naturally have combination skin. Then I found out that this powder should only be applied in very light layers. It gives a nice sheen to the skin. And if you're going to use it on somebody who's oily because you want to bring some life back to them, definitely go in with a light layer of setting powder first or afterward, depending on how you like to work your face. Also, I would recommend the MAC, I believe it's the Studio Fix or Studio Tech powder. I'll put it here, of course, so you can get more information. That is a very beautiful full coverage powder foundation. A lot of people will go in with powder foundations, not directly under the eye, but in this highlighted area, because it just gives a more smooth, filtered look with a little bit more coverage. I actually do love doing that on my brides from time to time, especially when it's hot outside. They need just a little bit more coverage. So all of that stuff, all of the makeup on the face just doesn't melt. It kind of holds it there and gives them a little more color without looking cakey over time. One of my favorite powders that I keep in my kit for women of color is the Amon Luxury Setting Powder. I believe this is. Oops, pardon me. Luxury Press Powder. So these are amazing because, like I mentioned, they give that extra layer of coverage. These are also beautiful for bronzing. This one might not be picking up too well on camera, but if you swatch it, you can kind of see how thin it is, and it's a matte finish, so it can be applied as a bronzer, like I mentioned, or underneath the eye. If you're the type of girl who likes to use your color powders all over, be free to do that, but I do not like using pressed powders all over the face unless I'm touching it. Also, another honorable mention, because we all start out different budgets. Like I said, we don't all want to order online, and sometimes Walmart is the closest thing, so I recommend Black Opal's translucent powder. This has gotten me through many a nights in hot Florida. It does set very, not too matte, but it has a matte finish, and it does keep your makeup locked in. And this comes in multiple shades. Again, all the information will be on this side. So I highly recommend this if your clientele is kind of like the birthday girl, or she's celebrating a special occasion to where she knows she's going to be dancing all night, this is a fantastic powder, along with the Laura Mercier and Dermablend option. Another color powder or color translucent powder that's amazing is Joe Blasco. So Joe Blasco makes one of the most beautifully finely milled but very deep translucent powders. It's in the shade Ebony, and you can imagine somebody like Nima Tang, she uses this and it looks beautiful, and it's great for just everyone of a deeper skin tone, and you can bounce with it between photography when using it lightly. I selectively powder in photography, all the way to your deeper complexion brides. Then of course you have your palettes. So of course I'm always going to recommend Graftobian to you guys. I am a huge lover of Graftobian. They have their Pro Powder palette, which is great. I would suggest picking those up in all 3 shades if you work on a variety of people. If you don't, of course, grab the one that suits the most complexions that you service, and then go ahead and grab the no color powder for all those one-off clients that you have for the shade range you don't typically. Those are my recommendations. Again, if I had to choose 2 powders to start my kit off with, I would honestly start it off with the Danessa Myricks Evolution powder in shade 01 and the Dermablend powder, because that will give me my matte finish and some of that oily skin protection, as well as giving a nice natural set to the face that still has movement and some dew to it where you placed it, and just a long-lasting makeup. Alright guys, so thank you for watching. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Please keep telling me what you want to know more of down in the comments. I do pay you guys a lot of attention, and even when I wasn't uploading, I was responding back to a lot of people. So make sure you let me know your thoughts, questions, and opinions down below, and I will see you guys next